Hey guys, what's up? Caleb Downing here, and today we're going to talk about the Spectre 9 from SilencerCo. Let's get into it.
That's a very high rate of fire. That scared me. But hey, no ringing, no nothing, just a beautiful stream of brass coming out of here. That was cool. That was actually really cool. I did not expect that to go that well. Wow.
Alright, so first off, yes, SilencerCo did send me this. I requested it, I reached out to them, because unbeknownst to them, I didn't tell them. I was going to buy one anyway. If they didn't send me one, I was going to buy one, because I've heard enough about it, had enough requests about it. I was like, okay, we can do this. I'm going to get one. Let's see if they'll send me one. And so sure enough, they did send me one. So if I get to keep it, I'm going to keep it. They never said explicitly that I have to send it back, so I'm assuming I can keep it. If not, then I'm going to buy one anyway, because this is worth having. This is a really cool can. Since they did send it to me, I do need to tell you guys I didn't spend my money on it. So if that somewhat messes with how you view my review, that's okay and that's fine. But it doesn't matter to me because I always give my unbiased as possible opinion. Everybody's going to have a bias whether you buy something or not. You're going to have a bias one way or the other. I know I really like my Omega 9K that I bought. And if this is anything like that one, which spoiler alert, I think it's better. Then yeah, I'm going to have a bias towards liking this because it performs very well. So anyway, that's my disclaimers and stuff. Let's get into what comes in the box. Let's get into the specs. We'll go shoot it, run it through our multi-host, rundown and everything, and then give our little thoughts about it. All right, let's get into it. All right, so what comes in the box? This right here, right? The box is empty. I emptied it out for you. You get your suppressor itself, which this guy is extremely lightweight. I'm going to try not to say that 100,000 times in this video. That is one of the huge features. This thing's made out of, I think it's grade 5 and grade 9 titanium. I don't know what those grades mean, but it's a fully titanium can, and you can tell this thing is super lightweight, all right? You will get your booster housing and spring. There is no piston, though, all right? Generally, and even talking to the people there at SilencerCo, this is a 9mm can primarily. It can do some other things, but it's primarily a 9mm can, which it makes me question why they didn't send a half a 28 piston, why that's not part of the kit that you get, because 90%, 99% of the time when you are running a can on a 9mm pistol, it's going to be half a 28 threads, so you need a half a 28 piston. So anyway, I don't know why they didn't include it, but they didn't. My thought and the rationale behind that is they don't know exactly which thread pitch, because there are some other thread pitches for 9mm, and so instead of sending 3 or 4 different pistons, they just decided to let you go buy your own. I get it, it's fine, but whatever. But that's what you're going to get. You're going to get your suppressor, your booster housing, a couple tools, and your instructions. These tools are actually pretty handy. Well, they're very handy. Especially for the new piston housing, booster housing, whatever you want to call it, the booster housing. This tool right here is very, very, very helpful. You also get a little wrench. This is kind of standard in like a lot of suppressor companies. They have this to get your mount off, whatever that mount might be. This little tool right here has those little teeth built in, which are the exact same as this guy right here. So, right, you have both of your tools for different things, right? But this is specifically for the housing. Let me show you how that works. On the back of the housing, I kind of have it it's not really even hand tied, it's hand threaded in there. On the back of the housing, I'm going to put this thing in here so you can see what I'm talking about. It's just a lot easier to see what I'm talking about than me try to explain it to you. When you get this guy, he's going to look like this. You got your housing inserted, threaded in there and everything. When you need to take this part out, if you take the back portion out to put in your piston, that's where you use this little tool with these little teeths on it. Little teeths go in these little cutouts like this. You can unscrew. Hopefully you can see that. You can unscrew everything. Once you get it going, you can kind of just use your hand and unscrew it, especially when it's new. It's not going to have any carbon in it. This is dirty because I've already shot this thing. Inside, you have your spring, and then that's when you take your piston, whichever piston you might need. Yes, half a 28. This guy goes right down on the inside. Pretty snug fit once it gets down in there, and you'll feel it kind of lock its teeth into place. All right, then you take your spring, put that on top. Pro tip, make sure this thing stays oiled. Booster housings, pistons, they need oil or grease. Lithium grease is great, but they need oil. If this thing runs dry, you're going to have cycling issues, so don't let it run dry. Take your little cap. You kind of have to finagle this sometimes. It has like a rubber grommet or gasket, whatever you want to call it, on the inside. So that's going to need to slip over the piston. So kind of give it a little twist. Don't cross thread. Don't force it. Obviously, if it's not going in, it's not going in. Now that it's kind of going in and it's kind of getting hand tight-ish, take your little tool out again and screw it all. I mean, you guys can really not see what I'm doing here, but basically just screw it back inside until it's nice and snug. All right. Now, if you want to take this whole assembly out and change it out to put in, say, a direct thread or a tri-lug or some other thing, you can use these little teeth. They'll connect on these little cutouts on the side of the housing, and you can break this thing loose. Or, if you don't have that tool and you just want to take it off, use your other wrench. Does the exact same thing. Hooks on there, and you unscrew this. And this whole thing right here will come out. The whole housing assembly for your booster housing, that whole thing will come out. And now you just have your naked suppressor. So this uses the Alpha Series mounts, so you can put in, like I said earlier, direct threads and tri-lugs. Now, since they sent me this, they also sent me some tri-lug and some direct threads for half a 28, 5/8 by 24. There might be some other versions that they have, some other different thread pattern direct threads. Not sure what else you would really need. I don't really know what else you would need covered, but any Alpha Series mount should fit on the inside here. All right, so that's what comes in the box, and some couple little feature things about it, how to take it apart and really, you know, set it up how you need to set it up. Let's get into some specs. I got it pulled up on my phone. This is just straight off of their website. No big, huge frills. You're not going to get any secret knowledge here. So if you want more specific knowledge, they got a bunch of information on their website. So I'm going to throw this up there on the screen, read off some important factoids, and then we'll get to shooting this thing as quick as we can. All right, so specs, caliber rating, 9mm, 300 blackout subsonic. This is also rated for 300 supers, interestingly enough. Uses Alpha Series and 3-lug adapters and mounts and stuff. MSRP $879. The weight is 3.9 ounces, very lightweight. Length is 4.76 inches. Diameter 1.37 inches. Material grade 5 and grade 9 titanium. And it ships, like we said, with your wrenches, your booster housing, and your suppressor itself. Something about caliber rating real quick. This is primarily, you know how I like to talk about things in their wheelhouse. This is a 9mm can. This is where it shines on pistols, on PCCs. This is a 9mm suppressor, right? Can you shoot 300 blackout supers and subs? You absolutely can. Can you also shoot 7.62 by 39? Yes, you can, like an AK. I talked to them. They said it's perfectly fine. Keep it within the same rate of fire as like a 300 blackout supersonic. To where you can shoot 300 blackout supersonic out of this. You can shoot 300 blackout subsonic full auto. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could. I mean, I know why you'd want to do that because it'd be really quiet and really fun. But it can handle those, right? So it can handle 7.62 by 39, even though this is a 9mm specific suppressor. It can handle those other calibers, and I haven't shot those other calibers on here yet. And I'm going to assume it's going to do well, but it's not going to be the best on, say, 300 blackout and 7.62 by 39 because you're stretching its wheelhouse. You're stretching it to its ends of how it's supposed to be used, if that makes sense. Can it handle that? Yes. Does it handle it best? We'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to assume it's not going to handle those calibers best because that's at the extreme end, right? Hope you guys are reading what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Anyway, that's the main things there. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say on specs and data. I really can't think so. The 1.37 diameter is really, really handy. It's one thing I do want to point out. That's really, really nice because on many pistols, since this is a pistol can, you have a 1.5-inch diameter. I believe that's what the older Omega 9K and Omega 45K, they are the 1.5-inch diameter. I believe so. And most other 9mm cans are the same thing. They're a little bit larger. And you wouldn't think that'd make a big difference, but it does, especially when you're trying to use iron sights, right? Because any little bit of thickness differentiation, right, that diameter, if it's larger, you're going to easily start obstructing your sight picture, right? Your sights. If it's a smaller suppressor like this, then you're going to err on that side of actually being able to use your iron sights if you want to do that. I think most people, thankfully, are moving to red dots and stuff, so this isn't that big a deal anyway. But it is nice that this is very slim, very small, very well, like I just said, small in diameter, so it's going to fit more applications a little bit better. Here's a couple examples of what I'm talking about. This is a 509. It has suppressor height sights, and you can't see the suppressor really. You have some tyrant sights on a Glock. You can just see the suppressor over the top of those sights. And then here is a P226 with standard height sights, and again, you can just see the suppressor with those sights. Something that has surprised me is, even though this guy, I think he's a tiny little bit longer when I stack him up side by side, he's a tiny little bit longer than the Omega 9K. However, he is skinnier. And so I was thinking to myself, is this thing really going to be that much better? Because everybody has said it's better than the Omega 9K. It's better than a lot of pistols in its suppressors in its class. I've shot this on 9mm, and I can tell you this thing is phenomenal. I don't know what exactly they've done. They've obviously, you can see on there the weld marks, they've obviously added baffles in here. Not sure exactly if they've changed dimensions of stuff. I mean, obviously they did. This is a fully new suppressor. This isn't just a shortened version of the 9K. It's obviously very much different. So whatever they've done, they did a good job in my opinion. All right, enough of that stuff. Let's go out and shoot this thing on some different hosts, and then we will come back here, give our wrap-up thoughts, and go from there. All right, let's go shoot it. All right, real quick, before we go hit the range, I just wanted to point these out since they did send them. I wanted to show you them because we are going to end up using them in the suppressor post videos and stuff. Just wanted to show you what these are, all right? So obviously you got your suppressor, but you got your mounts. You have your booster housing, the whole booster assembly, right, with the piston in there. They sent, this does not come with it, they sent the tri-lug. They sent a 5/8 by 24 direct thread and a 1/2 by 28 direct thread. Just the way these things look. You already saw the piston housing, booster housing. I don't know why I keep calling it a piston housing. It's a booster housing. They're tri-lugs. I've thought this before, and I still stand by it. One of the better, best looking, and I mean, it functions perfectly fine, but one of the better looking, flush, professional in appearance tri-lugs on the market out there, I think. It just looks very clean. I mean, obviously, they make the assembly, or the tri-lug, they make the suppressor, so they should be able to make it all work together very well, and it does. But it looks very clean, looks very professional. But that guy goes in there like that. Doesn't really add a whole lot of extra weight or anything. It's a very small little unit, but it's very, very handy. These direct threads, they did something on this that I think other companies are doing now too, but I don't think people are doing it forever. I really don't think so. I think this has come with time and attention to detail and paying attention to people's complaints and issues that can arise. These guys, these little direct threads, they will go into your suppressor. They will go all the way on the inside. Looks very clean, very flush, very professional, all those different kind of things, whatever, okay? And if you go put this on your firearm, put it on your host, you lock everything down, you go have a great day shooting and everything, you go back home, you take the suppressor off, and come to find out that somehow, because this happens to me, this happens to everybody at some point, if you shoot long enough, your direct thread is going to carbon lock or something. It's going to get stuck on the barrel of your host of the firearm. And the suppressor is going to thread off of your direct thread. So now you got your direct thread stuck on your firearm and your suppressor off of the direct thread. And you're like, okay, well, how am I supposed to get this thing off? Some people, I mean, you could put Loctite on the threads on your suppressor and then put it back on your direct thread mount and hope that everything locks up tight, wait for it to cure, and then you remove it. That might work. Or, you know, back in the day, you could use like a strap wrench or something to try to not mar up these little threads on your direct thread and get it, you know, grab hold of it tight enough to get it off without messing it up. Or what they have done, and I know other people are doing this too, so it's not just SilencerCo, but it's an attention to detail thing. They're thinking about it. They've put in flats on this exposed portion here. This is what's inside the suppressor. Barrel is on this side here, and so this side over here, this is inside the suppressor. There's flats on this exposed piece, which means that if this gets stuck, if the direct thread gets stuck to your barrel, you can just simply use your wrench or tool, whatever it might be, to grab hold of these flats, not mess up anything on the mount, and be able to get this guy off of your host, get it off of the barrel, if you run into that issue. Again, to me, that's a little thing, but it's a big thing, right? It doesn't take much for somebody to design that and implement it and put it on their mounts, but it's a huge help. It's a huge, huge help. So anyway, I wanted to point that thing out real quick. To me, I like little attention to detail things because it shows me that companies are thinking and trying to do better, right? Instead of just throwing a product out there, they're trying to make a good product and foresee issues that people might have down the road. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go and shoot this thing.
There's gas in there. Woo! But you are so close to the system, it's not even funny. Not bad at all. That's actually really nice. Good grief. That should not be that nice. All right, so we're set up at 25 yards, and real quick, we're just gonna check and see if we have any zero shift if we take the suppressor off. This is with a Palmetto State 7-inch. Their PCC barrel that has the built-in tri-lug, so that's how this guy's set up. So we're gonna shoot, we're zeroed in, best as I can tell. We're gonna shoot the left target, you'll see it. And then we'll shoot 5 shots, take the suppressor off, shoot 5 shots on the center target, put the suppressor back on, make sure it's in the correct orientation, because it's a tri-lug, so there's 3 positions. We'll put it in the same orientation, and then we'll fire another 3 rounds and see if we have any shift in zero. Let's check it out. All right, so hopefully we can see this. I think that's actually a pretty decent group. At 25 yards, we are shooting off of a rest, but that's 5 shots. Took the suppressor off, we have a shift. Still a tight group. Put the suppressor back on, and we're back over here. Now, I think that's fine. That's a return to zero in how I'm seeing that. That's a 5-shot groups. Shot the center out, maybe favoring to the left side of the center, still favoring a little bit to the left side of the center. I should use some better high-vis targets, because this blue really just kind of bleeds out where I'm at. That's a stupid excuse, but from what I'm seeing, you definitely get a shift in zero whenever you take the suppressor off. But when you put the suppressor back on in the same orientation, I am getting I think a consistent return to zero. I mean, I think that's still pretty good, in my opinion. It's up to you, whether you know, what you want to draw from that, that's up to you. But for me, I'm satisfied. I would say that that's a solid return to zero. I don't know if these are supers or if these are subs, but we're gonna find out. Not sure, still not sure. I feel like these are 124s. All right, same thing with this guy. No idea what these are. If they're subs, then they're 165s. Those are subs. These are some of my super nice subs. So enjoy this. I'm gonna back up so we don't get ricocheted. Enjoy the silence. All right. You should be able to hear the brass hit the snow. Can you hear that? That's stupid quiet. That is stupid quiet. All right, because these are the subs and these are really, really quiet, I'm gonna back up a little bit and get some shots past the camera. Again, just enjoy the silence. I know that sounds corny, but try. Those are 165 subs. I think they're moving around 900, 800 something feet per second. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know how it sounded on the camera. But I mean, I'm 80 yards away. And there is a delay whenever I shoot and then to hit. The bullets are moving that slow, which means that there's no supersonic crack at all. There's no possible way for that. And so all that noise of what a report of a firearm would be is being very well contained in this suppressor. That is super quiet. I mean, again, you can hear the brass hitting the ground. It's that quiet. This rivals a 22 in many cases. The only way to make this system quieter, I think, honestly, would be to somehow silence the buffer system. To have it rolling on like silicone buffers instead of metal on metal. It'd be like silicone, I don't know. Anyway, that's beside the point. Spectre 9's working really nice. All right, so let's just go ahead and finish up the video here instead of going back to the shop. We just got done finished shooting it, right? It's still a little bit hot, but it's nice and cold out here, so it's actually kind of nice and warm. This guy did really well. I'm not surprised. I wasn't shocked as far as, you know, it actually worked well. Since this is supposed to be better than the Omega 9K, and the Omega 9K was already, in my opinion, a very, very good can. This guy did really well. And the one gun that shocked me the most, well, it's hard to say if it's one gun. The rifle caliber stuff, the 300 Blackout in supers, I'm not getting any ringing in my ears. I'm not getting any discomfort at all. That's a pretty big deal for me. That's a pretty big deal. Because even in such a short can, a small little can, this guy sounded phenomenal. Obviously with subsonics it was nice, but with supers it was nice. And what really shocked me is this little PAP M92, right? That's what these are, PAP M92. Short little barrel, 7.62 by 39, not the best suppressor host kind of things. This does have an adjustable KNS Precision, I think, adjustable piston in here. And it is tuned a little bit, so that will help. That definitely will help. This guy did not cycle without a suppressor, so he is tuned up a little bit. That caveat in there. This guy, I don't know what the decibel readings are. I have no idea, but I can tell you I do not have ringing right now, aside from my regular tinnitus. I don't have additional ringing, and it was pleasant to shoot, which is crazy given the size of this can. This thing is tiny. And he worked really, really great. Something to note on that, we did use, where did I stick it? I stuck it somewhere. Oh, this guy right here. We did use the chemo adapter. SilencerCo was nice, and they did send out some direct threads, and I'm not going to take this guy off in direct thread, excuse me, just because of complications of how I threaded this thing. And also this guy, I could have direct threaded, and it may have even sounded better. I might do that later, just because that would take up less internal volume. However, I was able to use the chemo adapter with this little adapter piece from, is it ECCO, ECCU? They make a crap ton of adapters for different suppressors and stuff out there. This is the first time I used this thing. I bought it, didn't sponsor anything, whatever, they didn't send anything out. It's straight up just an adapter. Lets you use hub mounts with your alpha mounts, I think is what these are, and it worked really well. I didn't shoot a whole lot with it today, but even with shooting not a whole lot, it didn't come loose or anything. But that's an interesting note. That's not a SilencerCo thing. That's a ECCO, ECCU. whatever it's called, I can't remember. But interesting. But it really, really surprised me how well it worked on the 8K, which tells me this is a 9mm can. I talked to the guys at SilencerCo, and this is specifically a 9mm can that can be used on something like a 7.62x39 or a 300 blackout. And I did not expect it to work as well as it did. So keep this guy in its wheelhouse, but dadgum, if you want an extremely lightweight, I would almost say a lighter use 7.62x39 or 300 blackout can, I wouldn't have any problem with this at all. This guy's freaking phenomenal. Anyway, and now apparently they have come out with an even shorter version, a K can of this. I would absolutely love to see one of those at some point. And if any of you guys get one before I ever do, drop it down below. Let us know how that thing works, because if this guy sounds this nice, a little K can, stick that on like the little Flux Raider, or maybe that would take away some of the cycling issues on some of these little guys. That sounds like that's like the James Bond gun, or suppressor. That's the James Bond stinking suppressor. A short little K version of this would be freaking awesome. But this guy in and of itself, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I'm glad I have one. If they ever did call me up and tell me that they wanted me to send this back, I'd just buy another one, because these things are, I would put my money where my mouth is. This is a nice suppressor. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear back from you. Do you have existing, like, a SilencerCo Omega 9K? And if so, what would push you over the edge to get the Spectre 9? Or if you're looking at getting one or the other, specifically those two cans, the Omega 9K and the Spectre 9, which one, like, what would be the deciding factor for you of which one you would want to go with? That would be an interesting question I would like to hear from you guys, or an answer I'd like to hear from you guys, if you're willing to participate. Anyway, that's it. Y'all be safe. I really appreciate SilencerCo for sending this thing out and entrusting me with it. They did a home run on this, in my opinion. I'm not just saying that. I think this is an awesome little can, and it's not as expensive as I thought it would potentially be, so kudos to them for doing that. Whatever they're doing inside here in the baffles and whatnot, they did a good job. All right, y'all take care, and hopefully we'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.